Look at me, sure. I'm the captain.
Captain James! Howe!
Ahoy there. Welcome to Rated Aargh. Thank you for joining us on another adventure as we chart our course through the realms of cinematic piracy. Today, we take a look at the third installment of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, At World's End. My name is Ryan, and please join me in welcoming my co-captains, Christian and Braxton. Guys, how's it going?
Hey, I'm glad to see you, Barbosa, again. And the best accent.
Have you heard, like, his actual voice?
You know, I don't think so. I don't know what that actual man
I
sounds
should have
like.
clipped it. I found it in, like, a YouTube short the other day, and I was shocked. Like, literally...
It's probably like, yes, I love to play a pirate.
It might be the greatest accent that's ever been portrayed in a movie because he sounds absolutely nothing like what he makes Captain Barbosa sound like. You certainly don't have to look this up right now. I mean, I guess you can if you want
I know,
to,
but I'm
you're
curious.
intrigued. Now you're intrigued. Christian, how you been, man?
I'm good. And now I just can't think of anything else other than this guy's voice.
Well,
Like, I really want to know. What was it like? Describe it.
I don't even know.
It's light Australian.
Yeah.
Oh, he's Australian.
It's very soft Australian.
And it was like higher pitched than I thought it would be too, with how he speaks in the Pirates movies. But you know, it is what it is.
Afraid to get wet.
I know I've seen this movie before, Christian. I believe you have also seen this movie before.
Mm-hmm.
Braxton?
Saw it in theaters.
I had seen parts of it.
Okay.
I had not seen the whole thing. So I was glad to finally watch the conclusion of the Pirates trilogy.
Yeah.
All these years later.
I think the first time that I ever watched this, in fact, I can vividly remember it because I was like, "Whoa, that is so cool." We turned it on at my
upside down.
We turned it on it was on like, I don't know, Dish Network or something. I can't remember what channel. At my grandparents' house one day, and I turned it on. And like literally, I think the only part that I watched was like the Maelstrom scene at the end, and I was like, "Dude, this movie looks awesome!" And then I think I went and watched it at some point after that. But it's super good. It's one of my favorites. And I don't know. I don't know if it's just a me thing or what it is. I tend to like the last movie in like a trilogy or a franchise better, it seems like, most of the time. I wouldn't say that about everything. Jurassic World, case in point. But I know, like, if you look at Star Wars, like the original, not like the first three, episode 1, 2, and 3, like 3 is probably my favorite for sure. This, I would say the third one, which I don't know that it was technically a trilogy because they ended up making 2 more after that, but this movie was originally intended to be the conclusion.
I think you could call it the Verbinski trilogy.
After the first movie, the writers Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio decided, hey, we're going to make 2 more, I guess, to try to make it a trilogy, and this was filmed back to back with Dead Man's Chest. But I think I wrote this in my Letterboxd review as well. But I think they should have just ended it after this one, personally. Yeah. And I like 4 and I like 5 even more. 5's fantastic. But I think you could have potentially done something else with the series. I don't know if it... Yeah. I still don't know that it works without Jack Sparrow. So
I know. It's a hard... Where do you go? I don't know. But I do agree that I think its legacy would be, people would remember the first 3 movies more fondly, and I think they'd be respected more if the 4 and 5 weren't there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Which we will watch 4 and 5.
Absolutely,
at some point during this podcast.
Yeah, and we've done these first 3. I mean, this is episode 16, I think. So we've done, the first 3 pretty quickly, I would say, in the grand scheme of like all the pirate movies that we could watch. So I don't know if there will be a little more of a break, and we'll push like 4 and 5 out a little more now that we've tackled like the kind of original trilogy. But I mean, we'll see. But we're definitely going to watch 4 and 5 on here at some point because they're fun. 4 is a lot of fun. 5 is just really, really good. Braxton, would you recommend that people watch this movie?
Absolutely. You need to watch this movie before you listen to the podcast.
Especially if you've seen the other 2.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, I would go recommend that you go watch both of those before you watch this one for sure. And, we're going to talk about some behind the scenes stuff. We'll probably break down the plot pretty heavily, I would guess, in this one as well. So just go ahead and just be aware that from this point on, we are probably going to go into spoilers. I just want to make that abundantly clear. But At World's End, a fantastic movie, a great end to like the original Pirates trilogy. And Pirates of the Caribbean At World's End was released on May 25th, 2007, and marked the end of the original 2 sequels planned by writers Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio. At World's End was shot back-to-back with Dead Man's Chest, and it had a budget of $300 million, which at the time was the most expensive film ever made. And it had a box office of $961.6 million, so it's just shy of $1 billion. It's also the final film in the franchise with Gore Verbinski directing. So you might say, Gore Verbinski, I mean, the guy made one of the greatest, 3 movies potentially ever in these 3.
Did he do anything else?
Yeah, he's done a bunch of stuff.
Did.
He's done a bunch of stuff.
I am going to petition eventually that we need to do The Lone Ranger. Gore Verbinski's The Lone Ranger, starring Johnny Depp, as an adjacent movie.
Okay.
I think it's got enough weird connective tissue to the Pirates of the Caribbean films that it would be worth doing.
Okay. Yeah, we could maybe put that in on the schedule here before too long, because that would be fun.
The last 10 minutes of the movie might be the greatest action sequence ever put to film.
Oh, really?
And the rest of the movie is just a dog turd. Not really. It's not that bad. But you're it's
I'm not
too
sure
good
that I've ever
for
seen
what
that.
the rest of the movie is. Yeah.
I'm not sure I've ever seen The Lone Ranger. I just remember the trailer for that has a giant train. Is that right? Am I thinking of the right movie?
There's so much trains in it.
Verbinski was just like,
Neurodivergent
all right,
people love the Lone
hear me
Ranger
out.
because there's so many trains.
Hear me out. Pirates of the Caribbean had ships. The Lone Ranger, trains.
It's literally that.
That's the next step.
In the special features of it, they're like, we built this train, just like they did the same stuff with we built this boat. It's the exact same thing.
Dang, that's funny.
But yeah, I looked it up. I think according to adjusted for inflation.
Yeah, that was not adjusted
still,
for inflation, but
it's still up there.
Yeah. But at the time, $300 million was an astronomical number for movies. And now, a lot of times it's kind of the norm. I think F1 that's about to come out, I think maybe by the time this episode comes out, F1 will have already been out. Has a $350 million budget. Trying to think I think Final Reckoning was $400 million.
Something like that, yeah.
450, some astronomical number. So I mean, you get some of these movies nowadays that are big blockbusters, but they don't make their money back because they spend so much money. Mm-hmm. Pirates of the Caribbean, though, not the case. I mean, they
that's what I was
tripled.
gonna say. A lot of those movies that there's several bombs, but a lot of the movies that they were spending tons of money on in 2005, 6, 7, 8, were profitable. They made their money back and then some.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll get to it in a minute. I have some behind the scenes stuff, and you'll understand where the budget went because it's wild. It is really, really crazy, especially the Maelstrom scene. And what I have cut out of that one is I don't know, a minute. It's probably 2.5 minutes, and that's a 20-minute special feature, and it is fascinating. The way that the VFX guys built things to make the ships move and stuff. Mind blowing. Definitely, if you get a chance, go and search for. I think it's the making of the scene, the Maelstrom, or something like that, and it's just on a YouTube channel called Special Features, which I'm sure was off the DVD or something. But
these both Dead Man's Chest and this one came out during the golden age, I would say, of special features.
Yeah.
So it's cool that we got to get all that. I wish we got some of that today with, stuff that comes out.
Yeah, and I almost think maybe we did Dead Man's Chest a disservice by not like going through the special features pretty heavily. Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier whenever I was looking at all this, and I was like, dude, there's a freaking gold mine of this. Like, I don't think we utilized this enough on Dead Man's Chest when we did that episode. But let's talk about ratings for a minute. So Rotten Tomatoes has At World's End at a 43% critic score and a 72% audience score. IMDb a 7.1 out of 10, and Letterboxd has this at a 3.5 out of 5. So some pretty good ratings. I think this one is the lowest rated of the original 3.
Yeah, I imagine. But most of the audience seems to say 70%, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, the critics did not like this one. 43%. I'm trying to remember what the first 2 were, but it had to have been significantly higher than that. 43, you think that's too low, Christian?
That's so stupid.
Yeah, that's too low. What are we talking about here?
I think some of that comes from the old school style of they go to the movie and like they don't judge it based on like an insane magical weird ass pirate adventure movie. They go to it and go, not really. Like you have to judge it on its own merits. You know what I mean? You can't
artsy enough for me.
Yeah, like you can't. At least I've always thought you can't go in prejudging like what it is before you go and like already be like, I don't like this.
Well,
and I feel like that's where that 40% comes from.
Yeah, I think
like,
a lot of it too, maybe
money and,
with critics is they're like, oh, this one's just more of the same from the last one, and they don't look at the story as a continuation from Dead Man's Chest. They just take this one objectively, and they're like, it's just the same old movie once again. They just did the same thing for the third time.
Right, but the reality is, it is a story.
Yeah.
Continuation and
yeah. So I think there's a little bit of that maybe, but yeah, 43% is criminal.
I guarantee you some of that stuff was people being like, they spent too much money on this because they saw the headlines of how much it cost.
Probably.
And people probably went into
and a lot of it is that although we did watch it with someone who had not seen either of the first 2, they really enjoyed the third one as a standalone movie. But I would say that a lot of the kind of negative experiences with the movie were a lot of people that did not know all the moving parts that were like coming into play. This guy is in the first 2 movies. This is his character arc. This is his payoff in the third movie. Yeah. They just didn't understand all that. And I feel like this is almost like Lord of the Rings, to where you're doing it a disservice if you do not watch all 3 back to back to back, because they are essentially together a close to 9-hour movie. It's like a 9-hour full-on experience. So I think that's a big issue with the critic scores. And this one is a lot more out there than the other one. Like
it is.
Jack is on his shoulders. A lot of weird. Like the crab scene, it's almost like a mini.
It's like an art house movie. There's parts of this movie that's like, this could be a short film and it would like win a bunch of awards if they cut out that like 2-minute section of like the million crabs, or
I thought the crabs was cool. So
like it's interesting.
Yeah,
there's a lot of weird camera work in it too. That it's very interesting.
Yeah, there definitely is.
That wouldn't be in a blockbuster like this usually.
Yeah, I think on Christian's take on the critic score, I mean, as a critic, like, isn't it your job to have watched the other 2 at least somewhat recently if you know it's going to be a third?
I would say
yes. As a critic, that should be part of your job, right? To have watched the first 2 and realize, oh, this is a continuation, and take this as part of a whole more than maybe, just a standalone movie. Because they don't explain anything in this. You better know who the characters are.
I know, this is the opposite of Mission Impossible, isn't it?
Yeah, you better know what is going on. You better know who the characters are beforehand. And if you don't, like, you still have a great time.
Yes.
But, I mean, I could see how it would be confusing. But as a critic, like, this is your job. Like, you are a critic, a movie critic. Like, this is what you're being paid to do. This is what you make your livelihood from. Like, you should be watching the first two before you go in to this one. If not, you could maybe even just watch Dead Man's Chest before this, since they are filmed back to back in kind of a like continuous story almost between the two. But anyway, I have a logline looting. This one is from Disney Plus, which, as we know, Disney Plus has either the best or the worst, depending on which way you want to look at it, log lines from any of the streaming services. And this one says, for At World's End, an alliance forms to rescue Captain Jack Sparrow from Davy Jones' locker.
I mean, yeah.
You explained the first 20 minutes of the movie. Congratulations, Disney Plus.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm okay with that, right? Not explaining the whole thing. But again, I feel like if you're going to write a synopsis for this third movie, it should be like, it should say something like that, you know, that this is the ending of the other narratives from the previous movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a continuation.
But you also, I think, just as someone who watches movies like regularly, understand Jack is the main character in this franchise. They're not going to kill him off. He will come back in some way. I don't know. Christian, do you have an alternative logline for this one this time?
I am trying to come up with something good right now.
Okay.
So let's walk through this.
We can circle back to it. So this movie is pretty interesting, and it starts out with potentially one of the most iconic scenes ever, right?
Because y'all sing this song all the time, and I didn't.
Yeah. Is that the very first scene, or are they in Singapore first? I can't even remember.
No, that's how it starts.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it starts with them like hanging the kid, and like I think Hans Zimmer. There's a whole like special feature on it, just like that scene specifically with Hans Zimmer and them like making the score and the song for it, which was really cool. And apparently they tried like a bunch of different instruments to try to figure out like what the vibe should be. But I think that is one of the scenes that sticks out the most to me and kind of stuck with me from watching it the first time to now, is that scene and the music and just like how ominous and eerie that it is. And Hoist the Colors, man. I mean, it's so cool. And it's also like pretty impactful too to see that anyone involved with piracy, like even killing children, is acceptable in this culture.
Yeah, it sets a certain tone for sure to start it with that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild that even happens. And I know, Christian, like you're pretty fond of that scene too, right?
In my opinion, that's one of my favorite openings of a movie ever.
It does grab you.
It grabs you.
You're like,
I love that one. I love the opening to The Revenant. I'm just obsessed with movies to where Kingsman did this too. All three of them, to where in the first like 10 seconds there's something major going on, and you're like, all right, I'm hooked. I don't know what in the world is going on, but I'm hooked. I think that was one of the coolest openings I've ever seen. One, the song was cool, and it just kind of builds this world where, I mean, all these pirates were. But I made a joke when we were watching it. I was like, so this like implies that they had like rehearsed this before.
That everybody knew what they were gonna.
So like everyone knew what parts to sing, what the lyrics were. Mm-hmm. And so like there's a whole world behind that you can explore. Yeah. I don't know if, I mean, I could be just overseeing this, but like there wasn't actually any character in that opening scene that had anything to do with the rest of the movie, was there?
No.
It was just kind of laying the world.
The only thing that comes up is that coin that the boy is holding.
Yeah.
And it's dark for Disney. I mean, they've had people getting stabbed and all kinds of stuff in the first two, but that one was like.
And also at the beginning, it's crazy. It's where it's just like, oh, you sat in the theater, and now this is happening.
Again, yeah, that's one of those things where I wanted to be in that pitch meeting in that writer's room where they're trying to get a green light from an exec
Oh yeah, because how easy would it have been to cut that scene out
Yeah.
for the studio to make him remove it? Because there's nothing that you could argue that really does connect it.
Yeah.
Except for the tone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, we've kind of alluded to it, I think, in maybe a couple of other episodes that we've done, but like this movie's pretty dark just in tone from start to finish. It's also just like dark visually most of the time as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got some storms and stuff towards the end that the battle's taking place in, and so it's real like dark and stormy. The like purgatory that Jack is in Davy Jones' locker is like really oddly color graded.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it like sort of feel otherworldly.
Right.
And
like
then
dreams almost.
I mean, like the first one, it seems like for the most part, like it's vibrant and there's lots of colors and they're going to cool places. And like even in the second one, like
the second one's very green looking.
It's very green. And like there's beaches and stuff that they fight on that's very bright on screen. But this one's a lot of like gloom and doom and I don't know. It just kind of it brings you into like what the mood and the tone of the movie is just like visually. Like you could probably watch it without any audio and you would still like get the sense and it would come across screen of the tone that they were going for, which I think is really cool. And I don't know what other movie that I've seen that like just visually sets the tone that way.
What I was like surprised by, like at the beginning, it felt clearly connected, obviously, to Dead Man's Chest.
Mm-hmm.
But then it sort of seemed like as we went along, like it almost got further away. Like maybe just because it was longer, I don't know. Like, and I felt satisfied at the end, not to get too far, ahead into the plot of it, but it almost felt like it started off being like, okay, we know where the previous movie ended, we know where it came from, and we're gonna, clearly have the going to find Jack sequence and all that stuff. But then by the time it gets to the middle, it's kind of like it forgets almost like some of the story threads. Like they're still there, but they're like sort of muddled, not as clear. I wonder, I mean, do y'all think that this would have benefited at all from like this one being split into other movies? Or having maybe more of this in Dead Man's Chest? I don't know. Like, was this too dense with stuff? With story, I mean.
I don't really think it would have benefited from being split.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, rescuing Jack from Davy Jones' locker.
The plot was very confusing. The whole, like, changing who wants what. Like, it made sense in the moment, but it happens, like, 15 times. So by the end of it, I was like, I'm confused. I don't...
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was never lost during any of it. And I feel like maybe the plot sort of gets muddied in a way, especially towards the end, just because like it is so action-packed and grandiose in scale.
Right.
But I mean, I feel like for the most part, they keep it pretty like structured throughout it to where you get a sense of like, what the changes are that are happening as things go along. I don't know. Christian, how do you feel about it? Do you think that it should have been changed in any way?
No. I mean, I would not have been opposed to more Verbinski and that general crew around it. I know there were some parts of the first one that returned for the fifth, and that's why the fifth returned to being good. Spoiler alert.
Interesting.
A lot of people think the fourth one is not necessarily bad, but if you're expecting something akin to the first three,
it's just different.
Nothing even close. Like,
I would say that that On Stranger Tides has a similar reception to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Interesting. Yeah.
I think part of it's cast. You're missing a couple of your characters that people fell in love with. People like new and exciting things, but in terms of series and kind of serial pieces of artwork, they don't like a lot of those main things that they grow familiar with changing.
And I will say something about this that I found interesting, and I don't know the answer to it myself, but I made a note where I was like, is the magic pirate culture stuff in this movie, did they crank it up too much? I don't know. I like it, I really do, but it's like this, like the weird like pirate magic stuff in this movie compared to even the Squid Man in the previous movie is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they went all in.
One thing that I loved was that they included Keith Richards and some backstory.
There's a whole
Keith
special
Richards,
feature just about Keith Richards.
What?
Yeah.
He was the like aesthetic inspiration for Jack Sparrow.
That's cool.
And
That
so
would've- I started to cut something out of the Keith Richards one, and that would have like been the only thing that I thought would have been worth cutting out. And I was like, Christian will talk about it.
That's amazing though. It makes sense.
I just thought it was really cool. And so when the pirate lords come together, he's strumming his guitar, and then you find out that he's Jack's father. And he goes, "How's mom?" And then he puts up one of these shrunken heads, like from the Shuar tribe of Ecuador. And just the writing and the prop use and stuff like that it only takes up, I don't know, 5-10 seconds of screen time. But there's this entire like relationship dynamic, an entire backstory, all the lore with the Jack Sparrow and his dad, who you can tell is British. So okay, now we can tell that, you know, was Jack British?
Right. There's so much there in a tiny moment. Yeah.
Was he involved in the British Navy? Or like does he have any sort of allegiance?
Is that shrunken head really his mom?
Yeah, that was a moment that was pretty kind of
take it away, Ernie.
Very, very deep writing. I did finish my log line that I have for this.
I thought it was Ernie, but I don't know.
I thought it was Irv.
Okay, let's lay it on. What should the log line be for this?
In a world where every character is soggy, one pirate returns from the edge of the earth to keep his legacy from drying up.
Everyone is soggy.
Also, please tell me that when you were struggling to write something, you just wrote the first 3 words "in a world," and then you.
The world.
I thought you were about to literally say "in a world
soggy.
that's at its end."
No, literally, if you look at like 80% of the scenes, all the characters are soaking wet for some reason. They're always damp, and so this is definitely like the soggiest of the movies.
Yeah,
It's because it's raining like almost the entire movie.
Oh, it's raining. They flip upside down.
It's true.
I think they also look, because think about how dirty these characters looked in 1 and 2. I think they looked even dirtier and like smudgier in this movie somehow.
Yeah.
Like it's. Do you know how
Even after
annoying
being
that
wet
would be?
the
Like in
whole
the
time.
makeup truck of like putting all that junk on their face.
Yeah, and they're all in the like steam rooms in the Singapore village place.
Mm-hmm.
They're like hot and sweaty in that.
Dude, they have mushrooms growing on them during that scene, like the people in that room.
And that's not even counting that there's still a lot of screen time from the Davy Jones guys.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's wet fish the whole time.
So I've got some clips here from behind the scenes. And this movie, like after the opening scene, they go to Singapore because they're trying to.
Yeah, what are they trying to do?
They're trying to get back Will Turner because he's been captured, so that they can then go and rescue Jack. I think they had to like betray a pirate, I think, before they could reach at the world's end or something like that. Is what goes on. And the Singapore scene is pretty cool. Like Christian said, you know,
the set is amazing.
It's super
like it looks
steamy in
super
there.
cool.
And the whole time the guy's like, more steam. But like the guy that they got, I think, to play like the like head honcho in Singapore is this guy from China. And let's take a look at him in the behind the scenes.
Welcome to Singapore.
Welcome to Singapore.
Xiao Fang 他是一个海盗王嘛，在新加坡的王，他都是
He has a
活跃
great
在
look.
南中国海一带。
He really does.
the reason that the Chinese actually became pirates. Most of them were fishermen, and the only way they could get ahead was to pirate.
Who are you?
Even the makeup is crazy.
They developed this kind of
Just him talking
reputation for
casually is so
fierceness
funny.
because they had to. It was the only way they could survive.
So, the only way a pirate can make a profit is by betraying other pirates.
I can live with that. 海盗出卖海盗是正常的，所以他是当一个买卖。
That's just good business.
God, the makeup is crazy.
Dude, the makeup is super crazy. Yeah.
And Jeffrey Rush is insane.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting scene. You know, like he was a pirate in the South China Sea, which is very similar to what we watched last month on The Pirate, which I thought was interesting. I also found, I think there's another one that shows up later, and her character's name is Pirate Lord Mistress Ching. And she is likely inspired by the real-life Chinese pirate Cheng Yi Sao, a.k.a. Qing Yi Sao, who controlled the South China Sea with her large pirate fleet in the early 1800s. And, you know, you see betrayal was common in that clip. You know, they talk about some things that are pretty piratical in nature and how piracy used to be at that time. So, Christian, how historically accurate is this movie?
I would consider this to be among the most accurate, even though they add a lot of the
Mysticism, you could call it.
Curses
mysticism.
yeah.
But I think that a lot of it is, they do the Robert Eggers thing, where a lot of this is actually drawn from existing maritime lore.
Right.
It might not be exactly attributed to piracy, but it's coming from this general seafaring world. And so there are very few things in here that are just 100% the invention of creative Hollywood writers. The inclusion of Indian Ocean and South China Sea pirates in this was really cool because they were arguably more successful at the time. If you want to talk about the size of pirate navies, how many men they controlled, Zheng Yisao was like very much could be argued to be one of the most successful, if not the most successful pirate leader, commander of ships ever. There is also a lot of historical accuracy in this in terms of what they wore, the style of the ship. One really cool thing about these movies, in comparison to some other things we've seen, is that these guys have a consulting budget. And I know that there are some clips out there, most likely, of how consultants are actually used. Like this is a project where they would be actually brought onto set, made sure that people are interacting in the way that they're supposed to be interacting, because they are very intent on getting it right to the highest extent that they can. Of course, it's a movie, you want it to be exaggerated, but there's a lot of real historical kind of truths in here. One of my favorite things, we know it not to be true, but it touches upon this period of exploration, and it's this idea that in the movie, the earth just drops off, the water falls off, and there is a 90-degree, almost like a cube-like edge to the world, and it is reminiscent of this time of exploration to where we didn't know anything. And it's kind of
Flat
accurate that a
Earthers
lot
would
of
love this movie.
Yeah, it's kind of accurate
Do
that
you
a
think
lot
this
of
was the origin of flat Earth theory? Was it the ultimate like popularizing thing? Is that 2007? Was that the genesis?
I hope not.
People got on Reddit in 2007 and were
I mean,
like,
at one point,
I
people
just saw
thought the
this
world was
movie."
flat to begin with. Like way back in the day, people thought the Earth was flat.
Yeah, you got flat, disc, cube. But this was cool to me because they do a lot in these movies that tell you about the rules of the universe that they're in without explaining much at all. You can go and invent, you can fill in the rest, but they show you just enough where it's like, oh wow, there's all this stuff going on, there's all this mysticism, but it's still often grounded in reality. Like they know that there's rules. They know that to cross the other side, they have to do this specific thing. So they'll walk you through some of the universe, but there's so much left in between where you can invent your own kind of reality.
Yeah, it is good like that. It very much follows the sort of Star Wars handbook of, giving you enough to play with, but it doesn't sit you down and go, okay, so here's why. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to do that. It's more fun to have your imagination kind of fill in the blank, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean these movies are very well done. And I thought it was impressive too that you have some of the actors sitting there and talking about like how pirates were. Like I'm sure that the consulting people probably came in and like, talked to them and gave them the spiel. And there may be some people that some of the actors that were also just like pretty big in piracy by this time anyway, because they've either been working on multiple movies now about pirates or they've watched the other two and have the opportunity for this one and that sparked some sort of interest.
Yeah. Well, here's probably all the consulting areas that they actually brought in people on. They would have brought people in on wardrobe, made it as accurate as they could have while still making it pretty creative and having the set designers. They probably had people come in and consult on the architecture, especially like when they show old ports and stuff. They would have probably several professors or historians walk them through what happened in a port city, what was Singapore like. They would have had weapons consultants, in this time period, probably 1700s. They would have brought in 18th century weapons consultants, 18th century sword fighting experts, just a lot of general maritime professors and experts to make sure that they got as much of it correct as possible. And I think that's a big thing. Again, they have that big budget, but I think that's one big thing that they had here that a bunch of other movies don't, because a bunch of other movies are very formulaic and relies entirely on the kind of folklore of piracy. This one fills out the entire world.
It sort of does. It has its both ways almost. It has the accurate way and the super fantastical way, but they mix together perfectly.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's good because you're going to have the people like those that watch every single World War II movie and they're like, well, this plane wasn't actually used until 6 months after this battle took place, so I'm not going to enjoy the entire movie.
Right.
But I think this was a perfect trade-off of someone who is an expert in the history that knows everything there is to know would watch this and still feel like they paid tribute to that period while still allowing for a lot of the creativity and promoting a lot of the folklore and just odd belief that was around at the time. Mm-hmm. Even if some of it didn't always make sense, they're kind of picking and choosing different things from around the world and just throwing them into one. It still was from this overall greater universe where there was very little, in my opinion, that the writers actually had to create from scratch.
Yeah, sure. I never thought about that before.
At the end of the day, they're making a movie. Like, this is not a period piece. It's not a, documentary style thing. Like, they're making something to entertain people. And, like, you want it to be, as accurate and realistic as possible. But you also, I think that's kind of maybe where they get into, like, a lot of the, fantastical pieces as well. The mystical pieces is, that adds so much to the enjoyment factor of watching these movies that they almost lean a little too hard into it at times, I think.
Right.
And it's not necessarily in a bad way. It's just like, it's so over, especially in this one towards the end, like it's so over the top that like there's no way that any of it could be realistic. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're having a battle with like a cursed crew as they're like spinning around a maelstrom.
Yes.
Like, I mean, it just gets so out there.
I would say the most unrealistic part was that they're spinning around this thing and like, here it goes. They're about to go in. and then like 15 minutes later it cuts back and they're still spinning around. You're like, oh, I thought they would have went in by now.
Yeah, the giant whirlpool. They just keep going
Editing is
round and around
crazy.
and around and around.
The big toilet bowl.
Yeah, which I think part of that too. I mean, their masts like get stuck together, and I feel like
I think that maybe is that was
it like holds them wide enough. I think that they don't go into the like hole at the bottom of it.
Ship right round.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, dude, like this, it's a fun franchise, and you know it takes some creative liberty for sure. But I mean, these movies are fun. Like people enjoy them for a reason.
What about we were talking about before we started recording about the green flash? Is that what it's called? They mentioned it several times in the movie, and I assume it's based on some phenomenon that happens.
You know what? Let me tell you exactly what that is. This is a real thing. I have seen it several times. I have not seen it in the United States. You might be able to pick it up in California. I don't know. I would assume that it is something that can only be witnessed on a completely flat horizon, meaning you've got to have water. So you've got to be either Eastern Caribbean or enough to where you've got a flat horizon to your west, or on the west coast. The two times that I've seen it, I was on the Pacific coast of Costa Rica and the Pacific coast of Mexico. And so...
Oh, I'm looking at pictures right now. It's crazy looking.
It is I've heard that it's almost like impossible to pick up with a camera.
And they may be recreations. I don't know.
I've heard that it's almost impossible to pick up with a camera, but the human eye can see it, and it is for a brief second. Ours was not long at all, but it was noticeably green, and it was very similar, not quite as dramatic as in the movie, but that is a real thing. I'm surprised you haven't heard of that, but there is.
I know.
When you're on the water, it doesn't happen every night, but sometimes there is a green flash right when the sun goes down. Brief emerald light that can appear at sunset when the sun is close to the horizon, caused by the sun's light refracting or separating into different colors.
Oh, like a prism. It like creates
which becomes noticeable when the sun dips lower. The green
I'm trying to
color.
remember if I saw one in Hawaii or not.
Yeah, like that's where you would see it. You have to be, I would say the closer you are to the equator, the more likely you are to see it. And you need to be probably looking out at the Pacific or far enough on the water on an island or something to where the entire horizon to your west is water. The green color will last between 1 and 2 seconds usually. But it is a real thing.
So I do want to have you talk a little bit about the Council of Pirates, but before we get to that, I have another clip here that is specifically about the pirate code book that they pull out during this meeting, and it's sort of the making of the prop. But I thought it was really cool. So let's take a look at it.
Keep to the code. Aye, the code. There's the code to consider.
The code.
Pirates code.
The code.
The pirate code book. Pirate code book was something when we got our hands on the script and I read it. You know, I thought, what an opportunity. I knew that, you know, Gore's very detail oriented, and I wanted to give him options to shoot. I knew that there was things meant to be in the code book, parlay that's in the script that had to be in there.
Parlay.
And then the scripted line that we had about, you know, the Pirate King being able to call war. And also, there was a pirate code, like Blackbeard had a pirate code, and a few of the other pirates of that time had them. And for the most part, they kind of said the same thing. You know, it was like, you know, whoever spots the ship first gets the first gun, you know, the best of the pick. Musicians must play every day, but Sunday. If you're marooned, you get a gun with one shot, that kind of thing.
Paper is supposed to be like vellum, you know, which the original, what they used to use is vellum is actually from the intestines of is it sheep?
We had a meeting with Gore and Jerry.
I guess they would like
there, and I was just trying
pull
to
the
get some
intestines out and
information
dry
from Gore,
them
this
and
is
then
the very
write on them
preliminary
like paper.
stages of the book.
Now this we have to work on because that's too contemporary.
No, this is just the sizes off.
Gore's like, no, it's got to be this, and
There's just scribbles here and stuck pages and
Jerry chimes in, yeah, you got to have, recipes for rum.
Maybe like a recipe for rum in there or something.
Absolutely. That's what the
recipe
pirates
for
would do. They
rum.
would keep their rum recipe right next to their duties of the king thing, you know?
We came up with some little stick figure hobo type drawings, and he would do these in the corner.
Oh, that's
we
cool.
would tear the book, and then we would sew it back up, and we'd take a torch and burn it, and through the seam or something, or the hole of the burning, you could actually see some of these stick figures, or how to attack a ship, or something like that.
This is actually a map to the rum locker that some desperate pirate put together. Shows you how to walk 10 paces from the palm tree to the rum locker. It's probably the most valuable thing in the code book.
Welcome to the
rum locker.
In here, it tells you who the pirate lords are, what their pieces of eight are, what seas they are a pirate king to, and the lords, and how a pirate lord becomes king. And all those things are revealed in here. It's kind of... Actually, I shouldn't even be talking about it right now, to be honest with you. We tore and burnt and took wax and took fake blood and took some sunflower seeds and, rum and wine stains and, everything we could think of. We kind of threw the kitchen sink at it to get that texture and detail.
This thing would have taken forever to make.
Pounds. It's got 1,000 pages in it.
I feel like I pulled a tree stump out of the ground. I've been guesstimating the weight by trying to lift it. Too heavy for a prop.
By the second
This
take,
guy's amazing.
10 minutes in between, whatever, he goes to open it up, and he, can't get it open because the thing's so heavy. So he put it back down, and he said, it's the movies, the luggage never weighs as much. And we went back behind the set, and we took a saw, and we cut half of it out. We cut all the extra pages.
The book that was constructed was a little too heavy to open. So they're cutting out the inside of the book.
All right, here's the book. Okay.
So yeah, they said Keith Richards opened it the first time, and then the second take he was like, "This thing is so heavy, I can't open it anymore." Oh
It's
man,
amazing. It's great that little thing was that much work and detail and care was put into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the movie for what, 3 minutes?
Yeah,
and they look at one page, and they made this thing basically like a real, pirate codex.
Yeah, I mean, say what you will, that physical prop thing, it makes a difference, and putting that care into it.
Oh, absolutely.
The audience never sees it, but it still adds to the overall feeling of it.
Well, I'm pretty sure when they're looking through it in the movie, they go through and have some close-up shots of it, so I'm sure that they got some pretty good shots of the actual book. So the care and the time and effort that went into making the thing, I mean, it pays off. It looks, when they pull it out in the movie, it looks like an ancient book. It has been, the pirate code has been around for hundreds of years. It's really, really neat.
I'm trying to see if they ever sold that, but I can't find it. Sometimes you can find the auctions.
Yeah,
I don't think it's ever been.
It probably is going in a Disney, I don't know, set.
The vault.
A museum piece somewhere, I'm sure. So this scene takes place when all the Council of Pirates meet, when they're trying to decide whether or not they should release Calypso.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a real-life Council of Pirates that existed at one time. The Brethren of the Coast was a loose coalition of pirates and buccaneers active in the 17th and 18th centuries in the Atlantic Ocean, Caribbean Sea, and Gulf of Mexico. They had a base on the island of Tortuga, off the coast of Haiti, and in Port Royal, Jamaica. The Brethren were originally French Huguenots. I don't know. I looked at that and was like, wow, that looks like a foreign language. And British Protestants, but their ranks were joined by other adventurers of various nationalities, including Spaniards and Africans. So Christian, do you know much about the Council of Pirates that you can kind of talk about?
I do believe that this was loosely based on that. I also think that it's also loosely based on to me, it sounds like because that was not necessarily, how am I trying to say this? To me, when I hear of the Pirate Council in the movie, it made me think more so of this possible real, possible false pirate kingdom that was written about in a book called The General History of the Pirates, published in 1724, I believe, called Libertalia or Libertatia. And it was said to be in Madagascar. It has not been found to this day, but it was supposedly a coalition of some of the most successful pirates ever in the Indian Ocean, that operated under a very strict source of rules that has never been proven, never been discovered, never been found. But apparently they came to the decision that they were stronger together than they were working separately. In most cases, the idea of some sort of court or brethren court in piracy is almost like a complete opposite representation of what the pirates stood for. They had no allegiances, they had no loyalty. If they did join in anything, it would have been very temporary and it would have been very loose, only benefiting them in that time. So I don't think, although I have heard of it, the Brethren of the Coast, I don't think it lasted for that long. I think it was a brief, 17th century, a brief kind of very loose coalition, not a lot of written structure, not a lot of power structure, but just a very loose coalition that was quite temporary, that probably advanced the general mission of piracy. And again, you've got all these different allegiances and loyalties you're dealing with. No one operated the same way. And of course, when you are a pirate, that means that you are free of any power structure. So I cannot see something to where you are not the head operator, I guess, lasting for very long.
Which again, you gotta love this movie where it's like, yeah, it's pieces of 8. Well, it's not really pieces of 8.
They have 9
it's
pieces
random
of 8
items. It was really cool seeing all the different, nationalities of the different pirates. There was the Ottoman guys, which were, it's probably some of the most successful pirates ever, but you never really hear about them, like the Barbary Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That was fascinating to me. I think that was very cool.
And it's a pretty funny gag too, that like they just used whatever they had at the time. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's I think is a good example of how they took real history and kind of bent it to their own will, because I think if you actually look at the history of when some of those groups that they were representing, they would have not all been active in the 1730s or whenever this movie took place. It might have been spread out over 50, 100 years or so, and just picked from that specific time period to end up in this one moment. And so I think that's a cool thing, to where they pay homage to the history, but they are not overwhelmingly literal with their interpretation of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It made for a good place to bring in Keith Richards as well.
Yes.
I don't know where else they would have worked him in other than that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but one of my probably my favorite scenes in this movie is when Jack is in Davy Jones' locker, and there's a ton of him, and it's super weird. And
as we were watching it, I think I said out loud, "What is this? Like, what is going on?"
Yeah, you did. I'm fairly certain that you did. But it's super odd, super weird, and they knew that, and that I think that was the intent.
Of course, yeah.
Of them, but the behind the scenes of how they shot that is like really, really cool. So let's take a look at it. damn it! It got me.
You could do that all day.
We're on our third movie, and
And
we
being a
just
chicken
said,
is
you
great.
know, how do we keep it unexpected? We said, let's just get weird.
Let's just get weird.
Jack Sparrow is commanding
I also kind of wondered, why is there a goat
100
in
Jack Sparrows, and it's what
Davy
we call a
Jones'
multiple
Electric
Jack
Wizard?
sequence,
Yeah.
where Johnny plays many versions of Jack Sparrow throughout the ship.
All the sheets sensibly, boys. Scandalizing the tea.
It's like slicing him up into a pie in a way, you know. And the major ingredients of that person, you know, have been separated. So you get the extreme version of fear, rage and aggression, anger. It was a great challenge, you know.
We have lost speed and therefore time. Precious time, which cannot be recovered once lost. Do you understand?
It's just keeping a line on what particular version of Captain Jack, you know, keeping a handle on that and then making it different.
No. Johnny would play himself in many ways, so you had to rehearse the entire sequence, character by character, and then lay in
Right, yeah,
the
to be able to put 'em
different Johnnies or different Jacks.
4 goes, 5, 6.
Initially, it was shot with another actor reading the off-screen line, the Aargh Jack lines, so the rhythm could be determined with another actor.
Mr. Sparrow.
I can.
What say you about the condition of this tack line?
What was really, really helpful was on the day when they were able to do these kind of ghost mix where you see the two Jacks interact and they add the
Oh,
third.
that's
and
cool.
The image fades a little bit more, but you get to see the interaction between the three. When you see it's working, it juices you up, you know.
Let's try one more.
Pretty cool.
It's tedious.
Inch back a little bit on the mark.
Stop speed. Action. Tedious. Let's just shoot one more. real
Tedious.
quick. Camera's just repeating the same move over and over. Well, it takes forever. That goes in the record books as one of the weirder days.
There are 12 identical Jack Sparrows.
This is Jack Sparrow 3.
We've had 8 or 9 of them walking around identically dressed at any time.
It wasn't distracting at all.
Captain Jack Sparrow, mate.
No, I'm Jack Sparrow. I'm sensing a lot of deja vu at the moment.
It's also quite funny to be on the lot when they're shooting this scene because they had about 10 or 15 guys dressed up like Jack Sparrow.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow.
I'm probably Jack farthest from the camera.
You could walk onto the stage and think you
It
were
would have been
going
cool to
crazy.
have been one of those guys, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm Jack. I'm one of 5 Jacks.
I'm Spartacus.
One of our 3 versions
I'm
of multiple
Spartacus.
Jacks in the story is the 2 little Jacks on the shoulder.
This was
of Johnny.
so
We
good.
created a large dreadlock set, which was in essence his wig.
No, I mean that makes sense. Oh, look at those things.
When Gore first told me about the dreadlock set, it sounded like a really cool idea, and we did a
It's
number
really
of different
cool.
versions of beads and hair until we got it right for him.
That's beautiful.
We haven't even got to the
If you
beautiful
lean out and
shot
kick
yet.
your feet,
There you
It's
go.
one of those kind of things, yeah. Even, you know what might sell it best? Is rotation.
He's just hanging up there
Johnny
on a
had
big
something
braid.
to interact with. He had a dreadlock to interact with. He can actually push. At times he wanted the little Johnny to push through dreadlocks to appear. He'd be hanging from a dreadlock. He'd be swinging.
I feel good, I like it. Main weakness leaving the body.
The immortal Captain Sparrow. Ooh, I like that. All the reactions had to be quite different, you know, different levels for all these different characters that I've played. I enjoyed it. I mean, you know, it was a lot of fun to play.
Gentlemen, I wash my hands of this weirdness.
The freaking crabs that sail the ship. All that stuff is crazy. It's amazing.
Yeah, I like the crabs. I thought they were cool.
Yeah, that's
And it's kind of interesting. So we haven't got to the scene yet, which I think I cut that part out anyway. But we'll take a look at it in a minute on the Maelstrom scene because they actually like sort of like built ships that they had on hydraulics that moved and stuff. And the way that they like when they needed to move them because they were so heavy, they had like some kind of like inflatable things underneath that would like kind of worked like an air hockey table, and they would like pull them around as like this thing like sort of like barely hovered off the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
It was really, really cool. I thought the multiple jacks deal was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they know how to do it. that stuff still like blows my mind every time I see it. Just like, especially when you composite that many of them into one shot.
Yes, it sells it into the craziness of it.
Yeah,
is having that many in one shot.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. It's really cool. Somehow in one of these episodes, we need to like do a bunch of takes and composite ourselves and like, yeah. Maybe we could shoot like an intro one weekend. That would be kind of fun, where we like composite ourselves a bunch of times. I don't know what we would do.
Into the movies.
We'd have to figure something. Oh, we could. That would be cool. We could just green screen. Yeah, that might be
Bad
fun.
Dog.
That actually might be really fun. That might be really fun.
You'd have to watch the scenes and decide what you're gonna. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, it sounds.
But it can be done.
It sounds super fun, though, right? I mean, am I wrong thinking that?
You afraid to get wet? Okay, sorry. Which, by the way, when that happened in this movie, I was like, "Oh, that was that meme." Like, I completely forgot about it until I saw Davy Jones say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, the part where Davy Jones goes back to being a guy.
When he goes to see Calypso.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool.
Which, what does she do? She just touches him, right? She touches his face, and he, yeah. This movie's awesome. I love it. It's so fun, and it's so out there too. Especially, I feel like, because I mean, one, you know, like with the cursed crew and stuff, like it gets out there a little bit. The second one gets even a little more
like,
out
okay,
there with Davy Jones and his
creatures
crew.
Here.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe in 2, you sort of see Davy Jones's crew from afar a lot of the time and not like up close. And in this one, they're, you know, up close and personal. And there's a guy with like an eel head.
The eel head guy, I was like, okay. Like,
yeah.
Not that it looked bad. The CGI looked great, but I was like, okay, he has an eel for a head. Like,
That's pretty cool, though. I thought it was a lot of fun.
I have a note that says they shot a monkey out of a cannon.
They did. They did. They put Monkey Jack into a cannon and shot him. Yeah.
I also have a note that says Gore Verbinski is a madman.
That he is. That he is. I do want to go ahead and take a look. So the ending of this movie is insane. Like, it's absolutely insane.
It is one of the it's one of the craziest endings I've seen as far as like an action set piece.
Yeah.
And what they were trying to do was so ambitious. Like it's pretty crazy.
It was, and they shot a lot of it as practically as they could, which is absolutely bananas. So let's take a look.
You can tell it makes a difference.
Yeah, let's take a look at the maelstrom behind the scenes.
Below us, we're filming the Maelstrom set for Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. Biggest
This is kind of similar to the one we watched with Cutthroat Island.
Yes, helicopters.
It all starts on a piece of paper and a napkin. Then 600 very talented men and women come in here and build all this.
We shot it in a warehouse that's the size of a small city, basically.
I've never been in a building where
it's crazy
you
how
have
big that building
horizon
is.
drop off, just looking from one side to the other.
When you walk into that hangar, you've got the two main ships. You've got 3 or 4 other ships, and they're all sort of floating around 30 feet in the air. This is the Super Bowl of the motion picture business right here. We had to design and we had to create this monster in 3 months. It allowed for a scale that
And this thing's like 20 minutes long. Like, the full video is definitely worth a watch. I cut it down to a little over 2 minutes.
What my vision is leading me to do.
We definitely want the first shot, they all come aboard there. But maybe we
Him swinging from ship to ship is crazy.
and have a couple of guys and go a little thinner just so we have mix it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be 16 people every time. Right, exactly. But you have 16's nice.
Him looking at the camera.
When we're writing,
16
we
people
actually
would
try
be
to think
nice.
of what would be a challenge to the stunt coordinator, or what would be a challenge to the
They said this
CGI
took
animators.
like
What is something that they'd
weeks
read? They go, I
to
wanna
shoot,
try to
and
do
you're
that.
just like constantly
There's a
being
lot of
pelted
things
by
going
water
on.
and
It's
stuff.
Pretty wild. At first, I thought,
For
well, we can't
weeks.
do big battles on these ships when they're at a 30-degree angle, and we did.
Rain, wind, smoke, debris mortars. All of a sudden you'll be doing the most finely tuned choreography and a piece of balsa wood will hit you in the side of the face.
That's so
Went on
crazy.
for about 8 weeks. It was an enormous production.
Whoa.
Him fighting on the mass and stuff is crazy.
Let's just take a moment to enjoy the fact that we will never make a film this big ever again in your life. It's the end of an era, my friend.
Whoa. Even he was recognizing that. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, like this is
sort of.
He basically
a transition point.
tells them
you know?
like, you will never work on a set like this ever again. Like this is a once in a lifetime experience.
Well, but I think
he's crazy.
Whether he was saying it or not, he was saying like the industry is changing and they're probably never going to let us do this again. They'll just say just do it with the computer.
Possibly, yeah.
While we have the chance, let's shoot as much on those physical ships as we can.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool, man. Wow. The fact that they built ships and which I mean, like I said, you need to go watch the full video because it's super, super interesting. Like how that they tilted the ships and stuff. They had them on a
giant hydraulic thing,
like giant motorized hydraulics where they could tilt the ship. So that's why it's at an angle at some parts and some parts it's not. And they, like I said, they would move them around for different things. They swung ship to ship, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not, barely off the ground, which I'm sure that they're, I don't know, they have some sort of a harness, I would think, but that's still.
But they might as well. They really are just doing it.
They're really just doing it.
Swinging.
Yeah. Like when you see it in the movie, it's actually happening. Like they're actually swinging from one ship to another, which is bananas. So, but yeah, the way that they had the rain set up and everything, I think who's the guy that plays Davy Jones again? What's his name?
Bill Nye.
Yeah. He makes some comment that it was miserable. I'm pretty sure because they shot for I think it was 11 or 17 weeks or something ridiculous, where you're filming you're wet, you're cold, you're constantly being rained on and having things shot at you, and it's just a constant thing, day after day after day. And I'm sure that would get super old. But when you see it come to life on screen, man, it's got to be so worth it.
Yeah, we don't have the clip, but it's a pretty dang famous clip. I even knew about it before I saw this movie. But there's a very famous deleted scene of when him and what's the head of the East India Company guy? What's his name? Beckett?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Between him and Beckett, when they're having their conversation in the cabin. And there's a famous deleted scene where when it shows Jack has a little P branded on him for pirate.
Mm-hmm.
And in the movie, it cuts to, basically maybe it insinuates that he worked for them but now he's a pirate or something. But in the deleted scene, it goes into a detail about he's like, you offended the East India Company, or you stole from us essentially in the past. And that's supposedly why he was first branded a pirate. But the way that Beckett puts it is something like, yeah, you stole our cargo. And Jack goes, people ain't cargo, mate. Essentially saying that he was maybe assigned to be the captain of a slave transporting ship, and then basically
defected,
took that ship basically. And I don't know, I could understand, it's not necessary. I don't think it fundamentally changes Jack's character one way or the other, but I think it's something that would have been really cool if left in. You know what I mean? I do. I think it does say something a little more about Jack's character than the movie does.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it also would sort of tie it into Guardians of the Galaxy.
Isn't
that one of the big problems that what's the blue guy?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Isn't that one of the big problems that he
they're
has?
Like smugglers and pirates, but they don't.
Yeah, but they're like space pirates essentially.
Yes.
But they start trying to trade people, which is
exactly. Yeah.
I think he was originally going to go and like steal, I don't know, Star-Lord at the end. I'm trying to remember. He's like he was like tasked to go and like steal him and abduct him from like kidnap him from a planet and sell him off, and like chooses not to. And Jack would sort of be in the same sort of boat with that.
And it also brings in some of the real history, right? It sort of, just like we talked about, where there's this crazy fantastical stuff going on. But, you know, we're also reminded, like, yeah, this was the 1700s. And the East India Trading Company was one of the most evil organizations. That's why they're made into the villain in this movie instead of just the British Empire. Because it's more interesting, and it is based a little bit in real history. So, I don't know. I understand it not being in there. It's fine. But I feel like it's probably one of the most interesting deleted scenes that's ever been in a movie.
Yeah. I mean, dude, there's so many things in the first 2-ish movies that are trying to like build Jack's character to be a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then like that would have been an easy way to kind of set him over the top. Like, oh yeah,
it's interesting.
No, like it makes so much sense why he's doing what he's doing. So, yeah, I don't know. That is, I don't know, odd that they would cut that specific piece out. So, and it's such a little piece of a scene too.
Right. Like, it would be very small. Yeah. Like it had to have been like 10 or 15 seconds or something out of that scene where they're in the cabin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kid hangings though, totally cool.
Yeah, that's okay. Oh man. All right, well let's take a look at our pirate bingo, Braxton.
This one was pretty heavy. I think maybe it's missing a couple that maybe some of the other previous two got. But it's definitely very, very high in the rankings of the movies we've watched. So there's a mate or matey, there's a sword fight, cannon fire, Aargh. There's the ships, the curse, the Jolly Roger, Shiver Me Timbers. I think this may be the first movie where someone said Shiver Me Timbers.
It could be.
Yeah. Which is amazing. There's the Parrot on the Shoulder. There's Parlay, which I think it's also played as a joke in this movie.
Yeah.
Like it is in the second one. Parlay. Mutiny. There's the Royal Navy. There's the West Country accent. A tricorn hat. The crew turns against each other. There's a pirate girl. The pirate will be executed. There's a sea shanty at the beginning, of course. There's a boarding party. Giant cavalier hat. There's an eye patch. There's a map. This is the first one. I think, where there's a pirate king.
Yeah.
At least probably the most specific example of a pirate king. There's a literal, guy. There's the hook for a hand. They say pirate. They raise the sails. There's, I think every one of the Singaporean crew is an unnecessarily shirtless guy. There's a monkey. They swing or fly in the rigging. There's, I think, there is a kraken. There's a dead kraken. There's kraken guts upon the beach.
Yep.
There's obviously they fight over who's going to be captain. And I marked it as Tortuga parentheses Pirate Haven because even though it wasn't Tortuga, I would argue that like the Singapore village they go to is sort of its version of the Pirate Haven. And also where they meet with the brethren, right?
Yeah, at Shipwreck Cove or something?
Yeah, Shipwreck Cove, yeah. And then the new bingo we've added is that there was something pierced. There was plenty of people who had piercings in this movie. So that's a pretty high percentage. There's only a few it didn't get.
Yeah, I mean, we added, I think, last week, fighting on a beach. That was not in this movie.
Right,
Christian, anything else you could think of that would have been a bingo?
No, this one pretty much touched on everything. We got the fighting on a beach.
There were no gibbets.
No gibbets.
There were gibbets in the other two.
Yeah, a lot of this one just takes place like at sea.
It's crazy that they were like under a thing and had to flip over to.
Yeah, put that on the bingo card.
That's very specific.
To get out of Davy Jones' locker, you have to invert the ship by rocking it back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Just in time.
And that's the only one that's unique to this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And ship gets carried back to the ocean by millions of crabs.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a freaking Calypso turns into like a giantess thing and then turns into a bunch of crabs. Like, it's crazy.
Yep. She does.
The stuff that happens in this movie.
Wild times, man. Wild times. All right, well, let's get into our ratings. If you're new here, first of all, I mean, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Our rating scale is called the Pieces of 8. We rate the movies on a scale of 0 to 8. And Braxton, I'm going to let you kick us off.
Okay, for piratiness, it's an 8. It's an 8. There's so much crammed into this.
Anyone else an 8?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we all say 8. And so, but I would give this, just for me, I think that it is a little bloated. I think that it is the least of the 3, even though it is still very, very good. And so I'm going to give it a 7 out of 8 on quality. 7.5 even, but I would say lean towards 7.
I would give it an 8 on piratiness. And I also give it an 8 on overall score, because although I'm still unsure of where the first 3 like rank for me, I was so sure for the longest time, and now after rewatching, I just don't know, because they're each just so amazing and they're their own world, and I just love those. But to me, it is one of the few perfect pirate movies. Like, the first 3 are untouchable, and I think the first 3 are in the 8 category.
I mean, I agree. I'm right in line with you. I gave it an 8 for my general score and an 8 for piratiness. I love this movie. I almost think I might like this one better than Dead Man's Chest. So, and I don't even know if I could explain why on this podcast right now, why that I like
but
the
I know
third one more.
You get a feeling.
I just think there's pieces of it that I really, really enjoy, and there's a few things in Dead Man's Chest that maybe I'd not like super, super crazy about.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know if I could go and like pick out specific things right now and tell you why. But I think this one is one of the best movies that they've done, that anybody's made. I mean, this trilogy is fantastic in, all facets. Like, I can't really think of much to detract from it. Like, it's just, they're fun and they're very interesting, and they're accurate as well in terms of like what we look at for this podcast. But dude, they're just good movies. Like,
yeah, well,
they're
and
just
I think
really good.
There's something about this that they have a certain charm and sincerity to them, which, I've talked about this before. I like sincerity, and there's no way to explain it, but you can tell when it's there.
Yeah.
And I think that these movies, even at, their worst and their most insane stuff in this movie, it's what so many blockbusters are trying to do today, and they can't get it right.
Yeah.
And even this movie, where it nearly goes to, have the metaphor, it nearly goes over the edge of the earth.
Yeah.
It still works, and it still is cohesive, and it has that little magic in it that they keep trying to do over and over again, but they very rarely does it have the feeling today of the same type of movie they're trying to make today as these feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, but it just does.
And I think, the casting goes a long way in these movies. Like, it's just a fantastic cast, and I think Johnny Depp is in this role was born to play Jack Sparrow. Like,
yeah, he's one of the most iconic characters of all time.
Yeah, he's just the perfect fit for it. And you know, there's not just a ton of actors that come along and get to do something like that. Like, I'm trying to think of like who would be a good comparison to him as Jack Sparrow. I mean, like, I don't know, maybe Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt. Like, would it, in the Mission Impossible franchise that just wrapped up, would that be the same if anyone else played Ethan Hunt? Would they, I mean, who else is going to go out and do these stunts that Tom Cruise is doing? So, I mean, you look at something like that, maybe that's like, you know, that person was born to play that character.
List.
You maybe look at like Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Like, could anyone else have pulled Deadpool off the way that he has? I don't know. I mean, I would say it's a very short list, and I mean, we're just lucky enough that we have gotten to experience that multiple times now. Not only get to talk about it on this show, but you know, to have watched him in these movies for a number of years now, and it's just you know, it's a special thing. Like, I don't know how that out of all the people that they could have cast for Jack Sparrow, they landed on Johnny Depp, but good grief, did they pick the right one? Last but not least, should we induct this movie into the rated R Pirate Cinematic Universe?
What if we didn't? We have to. We have to.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't know. I think I don't know that any of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, like all 5 of them, will not make the Hall of Fame. I think you could probably make more of an argument for 4 and 5 not to than you can for any of the original 3. I just think they're too strong.
It has to go in.
Yeah. If you had to
if
pick
only
one,
for the memes it created.
If you had to pick one thing out of this movie to be inducted, though, what would it be? I know we've kind of done that for a few other movies. I'm just curious. We're not necessarily going to pick one thing out of this one. It's going in, so.
Maybe the pirate code.
I mean, the book is great. Yeah.
You know, or maybe each of the little all the pieces of 8 that they put in the bowl, each person's little trinket.
I've got one. That cool map thing that they stole, where there's the circular part that spins around. That was my favorite prop.
They had a whole special feature about that as well.
They created so many props in this movie that one didn't even need to be in the movie. I don't even know what the hell it even did. But it looks like the coolest thing in the world. Yeah, but they use it 3 times over, and it's weird, and they
stole it at the end of Dead Man's Chest.
I didn't know that. I for real didn't know that.
That's how Dead Man's Chest ends. Like, Barbossa and them were trying to get this map, and Jack steals it from them and like goes off in a little bitty boat by himself at the end of Dead Man's Chest with this map.
I thought he got eaten by the Kraken.
Am I thinking of the wrong thing?
I legitimately don't know. You could be right.
But did he steal it before the Kraken, maybe? I swear he steals it in Dead Man's Chest. Am I wrong in thinking that? He cuts out the circle in the middle.
He does. That's at the end of this one. That's like the to be continued part at the end point of this movie.
Oh yeah, because they're trying to find the Fountain of Youth, right? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah.
I about lost my mind there for a minute. I thought I was crazy.
Well, they all kind of run together.
I thought I was crazy. But
I was seeing
the circle
more,
map, there's like a whole special feature thing on how they created it too, which is really cool. So
bring back special features.
Dude, no
even if
kidding.
they're on streaming, just put them on, like put them all on there. Produce them. We want what we want them.
Yeah, I mean, I know we did look at some of the special features when we did the Dead Man's Chest episode. Like, I thought the one where they like took the coffee cup and used that to make like the texture on Davy Jones's skin was really neat. But dude, like, I don't know. I don't know how that they would make a similar movie and give it the feel that it does now without making these sets and stuff.
I think you're right. That's not like the key thing, but that's part of it.
I mean, a lot of it I feel like just comes down to Verbinski, like in his vision of this thing.
Yeah, like
being
that's the other thing, right?
Great.
He probably knew they had storyboards, they had concept art meetings where they decided this is exactly what we're going to do, and then they did it. They had a vision for the story they wanted to tell.
Yeah.
You saw it in the theater, Christian?
Mm-hmm.
Was it where people like super hyped in the theater?
Yeah. When did this one come out? 2008?
2007.
2007?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I saw Dead Man's Chest in theaters. I know I didn't see the first one in theaters. I think this is the first one that I saw in theaters, and I remember the hype around it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I don't know what school it was, maybe it was Nichols, like the yearbook that they wrote, how they always had a pop culture section at the end.
Oh, yeah.
There was a factoid about this movie, and it was like, this is the most expensive movie ever made.
Yeah. That's funny.
I want to say On Stranger Tides is the first one that I watched in theaters.
I don't know, you and I might have gone to see that together.
We might have, yeah. We might have, because that was like 2012, I think.
I think it was 2012.
So, yeah, there's a good chance we went and watched that together, actually.
Dang. I've never seen a Pirates of the Caribbean in the theater.
Hey, man. Well, if they pull off this sixth one that we saw an article about earlier, we may have an opportunity. So, we'll see. We shall see.
What if, for real, what if it gets announced where it's like Gore Verbinski is returning to direct Pirates of the...
It's going to be the best. It might be.
I would
the
be
best
like,
one.
This will be the greatest film ever made, even if it's even if it's insane. Like
greatest film we'll ever get to watch in theaters in our lifetime.
And then he's like, guess what? This time we got trains too, and
please, dear God, no trains.
Train on the water, boat on the track.
I just thought of a movie idea. Could be comedy.
Do you want to talk about this on the show, or do you want me to close this out?
Or save it.
Oh no, I'll say this just because I thought of like, I don't know everything that Gore Verbinski's done, but I assume he's probably been mostly chilling since these.
Yeah, he hadn't done that much.
You don't have to
what
look back
what
very
if
far.
there was a movie about like a regen, like distant sequel being made, and it's about the director after like 20 years of silence after making like the most successful thing ever.
Yeah.
He's got to go back and make the movie. And then it's partially about like how much the entire landscape has changed. Like, I don't think they could make this today. Number one, you've got way too many hoops to jump through now. Executives are so risk averse that they don't want to spend any money on anything that is not a guaranteed superhero formulaic. We know that Marvel, we know that it's got to be attached to a Minecraft or Barbie or like a massive cultural phenomenon to be successful. I just think that would be I just think that would be an interesting movie concept about.
Yeah, of what if
a series that was so successful? What if he had to come back? How in the world would he handle it? It could be a comedy. Like,
I bet say,
that would be a funny comedy. A little bit like Tropic Thunder.
Yeah. Interesting.
Having to deal with CGI now, how it's changed.
Mm-hmm.
Gore Verbinski has done 3 movies since this one. And he has one that shows it's upcoming. But the 3 that he's done since At World's End are in 2011, he directed Rango.
He did Rango.
In 2013, he directed The Lone Ranger.
Which
and in
arguably ended his
2016,
career.
he directed A Cure for Wellness. And then this upcoming movie shows it's in post-production, but it's called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. So he has not done much since.
Basically, after he made The Lone Ranger, it did kind of tank his career.
Oh, really?
Because it lost so much money.
Dude, that sucks. Because like he's done some really good stuff. Like these 3 movies are just unbelievable.
So, I don't know about the last 2, but the first 5 were all Johnny Depp, right?
Oh yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Johnny Depp wasn't in Cure for Wellness, for example. But he was in The Lone Ranger. And he was in Rango.
He was in Rango.
He was in Rango?
Yeah.
He's Rango.
So this is one of those things.
I've never
like,
seen Rango.
Me
I've
neither.
seen like clips of it on the TVs and like Walmart or Target or something because they used to play that movie specifically on those.
I always heard the animation looked like really cool.
Oh, it does.
It's
looks
amazing.
Great.
It's an amazing movie. We'll watch it on this podcast just because people need to hear about it.
Hey, that's another one that's almost sort of.
Same director, same star, same. They're the same writers. I know the Lone Ranger is Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio.
Yeah, there's a lot of connection to that.
Well, it's almost time for us to take this ship to port, but before we do, we wanted to make sure you found our proverbial message in a bottle detailing next month's movie of choice. So coming August 10th, we will take a look at a more recent display of piracy in 2013's Captain Phillips. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We hope you enjoyed the Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, and we can't wait for you to join us on our next adventure.